Artcomtec at Artcamp Pilsen. I have the pleasure to invite Olivier Auber, who is now in Brussels. He is an associate researcher at Bruxelles University. Olivier, bonjour.
Hi, bonjour.
Show him his image now. S'il te plaît, on peut voir tu peux interrompre une seconde. Can you interrupt 1 second your sharing screen so we could see you, please? Artcomtec at Artcamp Pilsen. I have the pleasure to invite Olivier. Okay, bonjour. Bonjour. So the screen, Olivier, is yours. Please present us your poetic work, please.
Okay.
By sharing also the screen again.
Okay, I'll share. First of all, I would like to invite you for a crazy experiment. I don't know how many of you have a mobile phone, a smartphone, or a tablet. Nathan, is there somebody with a smartphone or tablet?
Yes, some of the students here have their phone, have their iPhone, yes.
Okay, and then the idea is to participate during my speech to this experiment, and you have to go on this site, poetic.net.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm. Yes, they are on your poetic already. Some of them.
Some are already on the poetic. Good. And some people will come from all over the net to participate to the experiment.
Yes.
And so the idea, this experiment is called the poetic generator. It's a very, very old experiment. I started to work on it in 1986 or 7. And it is still working, and in fact, it is working more and more with better technical condition than in 1986, of course. At this time, it was working with a French Minitel system. Some of you may know this system. It was a very innovative system long before the internet in France. Unfortunately, this system did not evolve and died at the beginning of the second millenary. And of course, the internet took the place of the Minitel. So this system works for a long time on several types of networks. First on Minitel, then it works also on some experimental networks foreshadowing the IPv6 network that works now more or less everywhere. And I made an experiment on this networks. I show you in 1995. And then after that, I developed in 1997 a version for the web that worked till 2-3 years ago. It was available on the web like this. It was a program in Java, and 3 years ago I asked I made a crowdsourcing call to everybody to develop a mobile version of the poetic generator. And this is the version you can experiment now. Okay, and as you may have understood, the idea of this experiment is simply to draw on the same image, but not to draw everywhere on the image, but everybody owns his own sign, his own square in the global image and controls it and can interact with the others, and everybody knows exactly where he is in the global image in order to control exactly what he is doing according to the global image. And of course, the global image is is made by the people together, and it can draw some things. Sometimes it is relatively unpredictable, and sometimes it can something can emerge, something recognized, which is recognized by everybody. Okay, and the experiment you are doing now is I made a strange shit doesn't work. Yes. Okay. Full screen doesn't work. Yes. In fact, I made for this conference, for this performance, a small installation at home, just near me, with a guinea pig. You can see a guinea pig on the global image of the poetic generator. And of course, you can see it in real time. And when you draw on this image, of course, you can interact all together, but you interact also with the guinea pig. So we'll see after 1 hour if he is still alive. I think I will check sometimes to know if he's alive, if he's going well. He is going well, and maybe I will take him away and put it in his home if he's bad. Okay. I have too many. Yes. This is a global image you can see on, each one can see on his phone on the top of the screen. So here there is only 9 people. I don't know if there is somebody coming from outside the conference room. And you can see that for the moment, it's a bit chaotic. There is not a lot of cooperation between the people, but it changes and it can do something after several minutes. We'll see. I will send maybe some messages on Twitter in order that people can come from outside. On m'entend bien, Nathan?
Oui, attends, oui, on t'entend très très bien et on te suit. Merci. Yes, we follow you and we
Moi,
follow you very well. And
je,
we
suis-
can-
je ne sais pas ce qui se passe, mais j'ai des avions qui passent dans mon dos. Ça fait énormément de bruit chez moi. Je ne sais pas si vous les entendez.
He says that there is a lot of noise behind him. There are planes, but please go on. We don't hear those noises. We
Ah,
hear
ok.
your voice very clearly. Thank you. Go on.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe that the 9, if there are 9, they must be from the university here.
9 people? Ah, okay. They
No,
are from
no,
the.
I cannot see how many are following.
Okay. I checked the guinea pig because I think it is not moving. I'm scared.
Please go on presenting your work. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Okay, he's still living. No. He's going bad. I take him. Okay. Up. Back home. Okay. So the what I will try to introduce is the reason why I'm doing this for so long time, almost 30 years working on the same project. Of course, I did many other things, many other projects, but this one is more or less my I will say my main project. My I don't find the word, and I will try to introduce you the reason why I'm doing this for so much time. First of all,
It's your masterwork for 30 years.
for 30 years, yes, and it's still alive. Many people think that digital artworks are have a very short living time. I think there is some example that proves that it's not true. And the poetic generator is, of course, one of these examples. It is known as one of the historical work of net art. You can see it, for instance, on Wikipedia. You can find the whole story of this artwork on Wikipedia, and it shows that an artwork can live for a long time. And I think this artwork is still relevant and still asking very relevant question to the society. My idea is that an artwork should be like a spacecraft or a space probe that is launched in the space, but the space is not of course the cosmos is the space of our relationships, our policy, or our society. And I think the poetic generator is more or less like a space probe which has to improve, to test, to explore this space, and to comment dirais-je, ramener des informations, to take information about this space, and to show us to everybody in order to make people think about this space.
You mean to share, partager.
Yes, to share, to explore, and to collecter des informations. C'est ça que je veux dire. Collect information to understand the topology of the space of our humankind or our society, you know. And that's why I continue to develop this game as an experience of reality. Of course, that's a joke, but not only a joke. I think it is real reality, because in this image, you don't have any boats, any robots, any artificial intelligence, anything, only humans, only you. And I think that the bottom of the reality is that is us, us interacting. And of course, this game can be played today from all over the world with mobile phone. For instance, in the metro, in the train stations, everywhere, and that's a way to explore reality of our relationships. And okay, I can tell you a bit about the history of the game. So as I told you, the first step was in 1986, and the idea came from several sources of inspiration. The main one, I would say, is Philip K. Dick, the well-known author of science fiction. I read a book called VALIS, which means Vast Active Living Intelligence System. And it's a story about a man. It's an autobiography of Philip K. Dick. And he described himself as someone who has been hit by a pink ray, a pink light, and which made him aware of the whole cosmos, of everything, in 1 second. It's a very, very short resume of the book. And I think when I read this book, I have been hit by the same pink light. And in fact, I was working with a composer from the MIT, Todd McCover, in order to make an opera based on this book. And I was just working with him, just assist him in this work. And when I read this book, I said that we could reproduce somehow the experiment of Philip K. Dick, and try to make an experiment that would allow the people to see the whole thing, to see everything in the same image, And that's why I've got the idea just to put together everybody and on an image. That's very simple. And that would be some kind of an automatic theophanic experiment, an experiment which would allow people to see God. That's a theophany. Of course, I didn't do this for this opera, but the idea remained in my head. And of course, I got many other influences. I used to, on the left, technology as collective mirror. I did before 86 many other experiments which used the technology as a collective mirror. You know, the technology is usually used as an ATM, you know, the machine that gives you banknotes. The technology was mainly used as something which provides knowledge or information. And what was interesting me is the way that the way that the technology can be seen as a collective mirror. Of course, when we interact through an ATM or through the financial system, we are facing somehow a collective mirror that reflect our behavior. And we can see that, for instance, in Greece at the moment, you know that there is a kind of bank run. Of course, that's a game hallowed by the technology of the financial system and the ATMs that allow the people to take their money back at the same moment, which is quite crazy. And of course, the poetic generator is doing somehow a kind of game like this, where the people are together at the same moment and interacting on the same imaginary image, the same imaginary scene, not on the banking system, but just on a tiny image. Another source of inspiration is the game of life from Conway, created by a scientist called Conway in 1976. The idea of Conway is just to make a model of microbes or particles or living organisms which behave according to the status, to the behavior of their neighbor. Very simply, they become white if their neighbor are black, or the contrary, or other rules. And of course, it is very near, the idea is very near of the poetic generator, but in the poetic generator, there is no microbes. We are the microbes, or we are the guinea pigs. Two other sources of inspiration is one guy on the bottom, who is called Francisco Varela. He's very well known as a scientist, as a biologist, and he was a friend of mine at this time. He's dead now, and he is a very powerful theorist of the autopoiesis. The idea of the autopoiesis is that a living system is working to reproduce, to reconstruct the condition that allow him or it to live. For instance, a cell of the human body is doing this all time. It is working all day to reproduce the conditions that allow the cell to live. restructuring its membrane, for instance. And in fact, in the poetic generators, it works like this. The people are acting to reproduce the scene that allow them to interpret things in order to act. You know, there is a feedback loop in this image. In fact, it is a pure feedback loop as defined in the cybernetics. That is the local agents act on the local places in a global system, and the global system gives them a global image of what they are doing. That's more or less the definition of the feedback loop. We are everywhere in feedback loops in the society, but these feedback loops are often invisible or difficult to understand or to design. Here in the poetic generator, the feedback loop is very simple to understand. And at the top of this slide, there is another source of inspiration that is the perspective of the Renaissance. I will speak about that in the next slide. I think this is the main thing, because as you can see on the you see on the first screen, I will speak about an optical perspective. That is to say, this perspective of the continuation of the perspective of the Renaissance in the networks. Okay. I check the guinea pig. Okay. It is sleeping. No problem. Tout le monde m'entend bien, Nathan? Nathan? Ou tout le monde est endormi? C'est
Oui,
très difficile.
listening to you very well, on t'entend très bien. Et si je prends du temps de retard pour te répondre, c'est que je suis derrière une table afin de te suivre et je ne peux pas activer mon micro. I cannot activate them from the place where I am. So whenever I have to answer to you, I have to jump and be on front of it. But
Okay.
in order to follow very well and hear you well, I have to be behind the table.
Okay.
Okay, please go on.
If some people in the room want to ask question, no problem. Don't hesitate to
Yes,
to ask question whenever you want.
very well. So please go on, please. Please go on.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a Minitel version. And I try to, in fact, in 87, I tried to do it on the French Minitel system, but I needed, in order to allow this the feedback loop, I needed the help of the TV channel to give the global image back to the people. You know, the French Minitel system was not the definition of the screen of the Minitel was not enough to display the global image if there is, for instance, 100 or 1,000 people all together. That would not be possible. So I needed a TV channel, and I asked many TV channels to make this experiment. Unfortunately, no one allowed this. So I I was quite desperate, and I tried to make local experiments with Minitels. For instance, at the Centre Georges Pompidou, Beaubourg in Paris, or in many other exhibitions. And also in the nature, somewhere in France, on the top of a hill. And in 1989, there have been a big contest to launched by a man called Philippe Kéot under the umbrella of François Mitterrand, the French president at the moment. A big contest to conceive a monument to be given by France to Japan, more or less in the same idea of the Statue of Liberty. And the theme of the monument would have been not the liberty, like the Statue of Liberty, but the communication. What is communication? What will it be in the next century, that is today? And in 89, when I saw this contest, I presented, of course, the poetic generator as a model of what will be in the next decades, that is to say now, the networks and the communication. And I conceive the monument had to have a very concrete shape. You know, it's not only immaterial; it has to be installed somewhere in Japan on a highland. And I conceive a ring, a huge ring, which would be the center of the poetic generator. At this time, the poetic generator was working with a central server, and no one was able to imagine that such a network could work without any center. Every network system at this time was centralized, and the idea is that it was not possible to make people interacting all over the world without any physical center somewhere. And my idea was to make a kind of symbol of this center, which would allow the people to interact together all over the world. And this project was cancelled in 1995 because of the the tremblement de terre, comment on dit déjà? Il manque un mot.
The earth shake, a kind of earth shake.
The earthquake of Kobe.
Yes.
Yes, because this monument should have been here under this star, this yellow star, and of course it was the epicenter of the shake. So the construction of this monument has been cancelled, and the project was off. So as I said, later in 1995, I did this experiment, this version of the poetic generator on an experimental network called the M-bone, that is to say the multicast backbone. That was foreshadowing the IPv6. And I think even now, this experimental network is very new and allows some incredible things that we don't know now. For instance, it was possible to, with this network, to make a global interaction, a global real-time interaction of people without any center. It was a pure network without any center. As you may know, Facebook or Twitter or such networks today are working with a physical center that is somewhere in in California or whatever.
You mean social networks?
Social networks, yes. They all are working. They all are working with a physical center somewhere. When you interact through Facebook, you are interacting through a physical center somewhere. And in 1995, we experiment a kind of networks that would allow to do what you want, social networks like Facebook or whatever, without any center. So you think that it's a long time ago, and this is still very new, very revolutionary, you know. And very few experiments on the web use this kind of protocol that is called multicast, that allow an interaction without any center. And the poetic generator was one of the first experiments on this network. As you can see on the left, on the right, I did experiment at the same time as NASA did some experiment also, and there was also some video conferencing from the U.S. Senate or White House, Grammy Awards, etc. And the small poetic generator was one of this very experimental broadcast or multicast system used at this time. Unfortunately, this multicast network, this protocol did not evolve because it was, I think, too revolutionary and very not, maybe not commercially interesting for the big companies, because they can't control anything if there is no center in the network. And so this protocol still exists, but is not used, is not routed, is not diffused by the companies, because I think they don't like this, you know. So we have now Facebook and Google only centralized networks. That's why. So as I said before, I did an experiment, a version for the web in 97, and now a mobile version. So I come to the idea of the perspective. As I explain here now, you can see that there is two kind of architecture, two kind of topology of the network which can support a global interaction. And there could be a centralized network, a centralized topology, or a decentralized, an acentralized topology. And when I started to work on the poetic generator, I saw the centralized topology, the one which must use somewhere a central server, as some kind of a new perspective, as the special perspective of the Renaissance. I come to the slides dealing with the perspective. Yes, here. Because in the Renaissance, in order to represent the space, the 3D space, the painter used a geometrical construction based on a vanishing point somewhere in the center of the canvas. And this is a well-known experiment of Brunelleschi, which shows at the beginning of the Quattrocento that to represent space on the canvas, we had to use this geometrical construction based on a center, on a vanishing point. And when I developed the first version of the poetic generator, I look at this server, as this central server, as a kind of vanishing point, but not a vanishing point, a geometrical vanishing point, not a spatial vanishing point, but a vanishing point that will concern time. Because you can easily understand that when people interact through the poetic generator or another centralized network, they send information to a central server. It takes sometimes for the information to go to the central server. Of course, it's very quick because it can go to the light speed, but it takes time. And then when the information are coming there, when the information are all together in the central server, something emerges from the interaction, from the information sent by the people. In the case of the poetic generator, this is a global image. But in the case of Facebook, for instance, that's a list of updates or status. And this global image, this global, what emerged from the interaction is sent back to the people and as a sound or as an image or as a list of people or whatever. And so the centralized topology of the network is looks like the perspective of the Renaissance. It has also the same symbolic attributes. You remember that in the Renaissance, the vanishing point was a symbol of the infinite, of the unknown. That was something that was sometimes covered by the Christ or by different shapes of figures. For instance, Saint-Esprit. I don't know the name in English here. Covers the vanishing point of the perspective. And
le point de fuite, the vanishing point. You have a word right there.
Yeah. C'est le Saint-Esprit que je cherchais. Okay. Here you have the polyptych of Ghent, which show at the bottom the world of the Renaissance, and at the top the world of the Middle Age. The hierarchical world of the Middle Age, which is made according to hierarchy of of power, of symbols, and at the bottom the world is made according to a geometrical construction. Of course, this geometrical construction can structure the symbols, and this is one of the very rare canvas that shows both representation in the same picture. And of course, everybody knows Cité Idéale, the ideal cities. And after the Baroque, which the time of the Baroque, which played with the perspective and tried to use it in many manners. And now, at the moment, I think we are in a world which is quite like the Baroque period. We are playing with a new kind of perspective, the perspective of the network, and the vanishing points of this perspective are the centers in what is called the cloud computing, the cloud. The centers of the of the networks, that is Google, Facebook, the DNS systems, many other things, are playing the role of the vanishing points of our new perspective. But as I said, it is not the only way to make a real-time interaction. It is possible to do it through another topology of the network. It is possible to to do it without any center. And so when I discovered that in 1995, when I did this experiment, which was centralized, I realized that we are facing two new types of perspective. The centralized one, I call it a temporal perspective. And the decentralized one, I call it a digital perspective. The temporal perspective, why temporal? Because, as I said, there is in the center a temporal phenomena. When the information are coming to the center, they are aggregated, and something emerges which more or less control and which rules the subjectivity of the people. You know, it's a list of updates, for instance, or for instance, the quotation of the Nasdaq on the finance market is something which emerge instant, second after second, and control the subjectivity of the crowd. That's why it's a temporal perspective. And there is also, I think, a digital perspective. And why digital? Why I call it digital? Because in the temporal perspective, the vanishing point is a special place somewhere, a server, for instance. In the digital perspective, in an acentured network, there is no center, but the only thing which controls the system is a code. That is in the prototype I did in 1995, it was only I would say just a number, which was the sign which allow the people or the computer to recognize each other in order to exchange through the network. There was no center, but only a sign of reconnaissance of, that allow the people to recognize themselves altogether. And this code, this number, is digital. It is more or less the vanishing point or the vanishing code of the network, and it has also the same the same symbolic attributes as the vanishing points of the temporal perspective and the vanishing point of the spatial perspective. It is an arbitrary number, just like an arbitrary point somewhere in the Canva, but this arbitrary number controls everything in the network, and the construction on the of the network is based on it, just like the geometrical construction of the spatial perspective is based on the vanishing point. And as you may remember, in the Renaissance, and this is, I think, the main point I will introduce and why I'm so why I worked for so much time on this project. The point is that in the Renaissance, some painters or architects like Alberti or Piero della Francesca spoke about the legitimacy of the perspective. For instance, Alberti did a theory of the way to construct, to make a legitimate perspective. And I think we can speak today of a way to make a legitimate perspective of the network. How the network could be legitimate, how the perspectives that they are drawing, centralized or ascentralized, temporal or digital, could be legitimate. And this is, I think, a very huge challenge for the society, for the humanity to find a way to construct legitimate networks. I think the evolution of the species of our species and the way we are we can survive on our planet is directly linked to this. If we don't build legitimate network, in my opinion, the society we will construct on this network would not be sustainable. Will go to its destruction. Tout le monde m'entend bien toujours? C'est très difficile de parler dans...
Très bien, c'est très bien, on te suit très bien.
C'est vrai?
We hear you very well and we appreciate your the way you approach both aesthetics and social aspect of your work. Please, go on. We still have a little bit of time.
Okay, how much time?
Well, you have 5, 10 minutes as you wish.
Okay. If there is any question, please.
Yes, but okay, thank you. Please go on.
Okay. Okay, there is still some people. but the guinea pigs is back home. There is some something like you can imagine what is this. Yes, that's not pixels. That's something else. Okay, I wrote recently a paper called a P2P money manifesto. I can show you maybe. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and this paper, I think it's on well, the P2P Foundation. You can find it on the P2P Foundation, on the site of the P2P Foundation or Positive Money. On Medium, I think also. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you something on this. If it comes, yes.
Okay, we see it.
I think the challenge we are facing in designing legitimate networks, legitimate perspective, is huge. And I think the main point is money. Money is the main networks that allow the society to sustain, to work, to live. And I think the money as we know it for the moment is not legitimate. It's not based on a legitimate perspective. That's what the world we are constructing at the moment is not sustainable. It's facing a big crash. And I think there is we are in a hurry to understand how to develop legitimate networks, a legitimate money system. That's what I try to introduce in this paper, where I introduce the idea of. You can find also the in this slide you can find the idea of the optical or spatial perspective, and the new anoptical perspective, temporal or digital. You can see that in the digital perspective there is also distributed net perspective, but also quantum network. So this is a new way to build networks, quantum networks, but both are digital perspective. Okay, and the idea is that we have to find the way to make this perspective legitimate. And I propose here 3 criteria in order to evaluate the legitimacy of a given network. The idea is that people should be aware that they are living in those 2 new perspectives, and they are to evaluate, try to evaluate the legitimacy. Nobody will say it is legitimate or it is not I think the people themselves have to ask themselves those questions. And the question I propose, that's only proposal. It has to be work to be. Yeah, it's a work in progress. The first question is: does any agent A, that is to be human or not or something, does any agent A have the real right to access the network if it requests it? Can it leave the network freely? The idea, it can be seen as quite a quite simple criteria. It's not, of course, in some networks, everybody cannot access the network. It is a private networks. There is a lot of boundaries or things that don't allow to access a certain network. And of course, when you are in a network, sometimes it is not easy to leave the network. You are more or less a prisoner of the network. Think on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, it is very difficult to leave Facebook because you are a prisoner of Facebook if you use it all day to manage all your relationships. If you leave Facebook, you are quite alone. It is very difficult to leave.
You want to say that we are addicted?
Yeah, addict and a stage of Facebook, you know?
Yes.
The criteria A-B now. Is any agent B, present or future, including agents that conceive, administer, and develop the network, treated like A? So, is any agent B treated like A if it is a question of reciprocity, including the people who conceive, administer, and develop the network? And that's a very difficult criteria. I think again on at Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is not treated like any agent B or A, you know, because he is the boss of the network. Of course, in according to this criteria, Facebook is absolutely not legitimate. And think of Bitcoin, for example, the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. Maybe some of you use Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is more or less okay with the criteria A. Everybody can access freely to Bitcoin and more or less live Bitcoin freely. But we have to pay to come inside Bitcoin. We have to buy some Bitcoins or to mine them. But the system, Bitcoin is as centralized. Bitcoin really works as a digital perspective, not like Facebook. But at first sight, one can consider that any agent B is treated like any agent A on Bitcoin. But that's not true, because the first people who have mined Bitcoin, who have invest in Bitcoin, are very rich at the moment. The first mover have all the advantages, and the newcomer have nothing. So if you are trying to deal some Bitcoin now, you will be very poor, and you will face very rich people. You have to buy some Bitcoin to them in order to deal some Bitcoin with others. So Bitcoin doesn't fit the criteria AB. And finally, there is the criteria A, B, C, and the idea is if agents A, B, and C, where A, B, C is the beginning of your multitude, belong to a network that meets the first two criteria, are they peers? And this criteria is a bit more complicated than the first two ones. The idea is well, I will come to you see the some lines at the bottom: liberty, equality, and fraternity. This is the motto of the French Republic. I think these criteria A, B, A, B, C are more or less a new reformulation appropriate to the network of this ancient and somewhat forgotten principle: liberty, equality, fraternity. So try to figure out that the criteria A, B, C is something like fraternity. Is it possible? That is to say, is it possible to construct the some kind of fraternity on the basis of a network? I think it is possible if the network is legitimate.
Well, Olivier,
Oui?
we appreciate that at the occasion of presenting your artistic work, that you bring to us some questions which are even, of course, social, political, and ethical.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is a very interesting development in your work. And I wish to thank you very, very much to be with us, to give the opportunity of the Pilsen students to share with your Brussels students at the university. And we thank you very, very much for your work. And I know that meanwhile, several people have been playing with the Poétique. So thank you again. Merci beaucoup, Olivier, et au revoir.
Au revoir, Nathan. Merci beaucoup. Bon.
Can you please, Olivier, now stop the screen sharing so we may see you in live?
Yes.
Really, please. Could you please stop the screen sharing so you can greet us from while we can see you? Voilà, voilà. So goodbye, Olivier, and thank you so much for your time you spend with us. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.